Welcome to my Wednesday ramblings and my reflections on the second week of our message series. What do you do when God isn't in the place where you left him? Now, over the past 4 years since COVID, there have been a lot of people who no longer attend Mass as a part of the parish on a regular basis. They still come, but irregularly. Many of them have stopped because it was a habit. Others have stopped for other reasons. Some of them are relating back to the sexual abuse crisis, and others have just got too old or too concerned about their health. Whatever the reason, there are lots of people for whom that question, what do you do when God isn't in the place where you left him, is, well, maybe not the question they're asking. It's the reality they're living. God isn't the same as he was before COVID. And there are lots of reasons, and they go back many years. Some even go back as far as the Second Vatican Council and the challenges that happened. But in this weekend's gospel passage, we have an interesting kind of situation. Mary Magdalene has been and found the empty tomb, and she's run and told Peter and the beloved disciple, and they've gone to see the empty tomb. They've now gone back and said to the disciples that the tomb is empty. Mary, in the meantime, has had an encounter with the risen Jesus, and he has told her to go and tell the disciples. Now, we don't have Mary's encounter in this year's Sunday readings, but we do have what happens next. And that tells us that the disciples were in the upper room and the doors were closed for fear of the Jews. So even though Peter and John had seen the empty tomb, even though Mary had encountered the risen Christ, she'd come to tell them the story, there's still this sense of we doubt, we don't believe, we're not sure because Jesus isn't where we put him. And so we have this whole experience of the disciples who had the opportunity to know the Lord suddenly confronted when Jesus enters into the room. So what do? Obviously, they rejoiced and they celebrated. And when Thomas came later, they were actually anxious to tell him. But Thomas stands for each one of us because we do like to have a little bit of confirmation, a little bit of an assurance that what we believe really has a basis for that belief. So Thomas says, let me see, let me experience, let me feel what's going on. So often that's a part of the challenge that many people really struggle with, because so often we don't have that chance. And yet there are so many occasions every day when we meet the love of God in our family, in our friends, in our situations, and we don't recognize God being present. So I'd like to pray that this week, as we prepare for our second Sunday of Easter, we might be very, very conscious of the fact that God is present in our day, that God is present in our lives, and that rather than being a Thomas asking for physical proof, we might be able to see God in the everyday and experience the wonder and the gift of his love for us. Have a great week. Take care. I look forward to seeing you next time on my Wednesday ramblings.